Northern Sea route has been developing for the several years now on, and for the last 2 years, starting from for the last 3 years, I would say, starting from 2009 and till the present time, we have transit voyages, which is unique for let's say last 3 years. Before that time, we had no real transit voyages of a vessel getting, for example, from one European port to Asian port without calling at any Russian port in between. And the first one was in 2009 when Beluga Shipping did 2 transit voyages with huge parts for a factory, and they were unloaded in Obskaya Bay. In 2010, we assisted 4 transit voyages. Each of them was very unique, and each of them was proving some particular point. The first one was the voyage of Rosatomflot Baltica. This is a huge tanker, which proved that NSR is suitable for Aframax type tankers. The second one was Nordic Barents vessel carrying about 41,000 tons of iron ore from Kirkenes to Dvaranger, which proves that NSR is actually open for any flag and for non-Russian vessels, non-Russian cargoes and non-Russian crews. That was proven by this voyage. The other 2 voyages were, one of them was the reposition of the passenger vessel from Baltic Sea to Pacific Ocean through the Northern Sea route, and the last one was very interesting. This was to reposition Thor Viking 2. This is an ice-breaking vessel from Alaska back to the Atlantics in the very end of in the very, let's say, in the very middle of winter in December of 2010. It was very interesting because this was done after the official completion of transit navigation in 2010, because officially transit navigation ends in the very end of October or in the middle of November, depending upon the present time ice conditions. That was done in December. So we assisted the vessel on her transit voyage from Alaska to Atlantics. This was done in 9 days of overall passage of the NSR. So that proved that actually NSR can, with proper ice class and with proper ice breaking support, you can use NSR almost all the year round. The rules of navigation on the NSR were developed in the times of Soviet Union, and mainly for the internal use, of course. The last time they were updated, that was about 20 years ago. That's why we consider them, and the requirements, especially the technical requirements to the vessel set in those rules, we consider them to be quite obsolete by now, because they were written for the vessels of that time, and now we see that many present-day commercial vessels, they already have more powerful machines. So they have double hull, they have very strong hulls, and they can navigate NSR even without having this 1A ice class. For example, that can be 1C and 1B, of course with the proper ice breaking support, and during some maybe shortened seasonal windows. Like, for example, 1A can navigate officially from July 1st till November the 1st, plus on each side depending upon the present ice conditions. While we believe that 1B or 1C could navigate during the shorter period, like from middle of August till the middle of September, when there is practically no ice on the NSR. This is the easiest and most convenient for the conventional vessels window to navigate NSR. What is done now with the rules is that they are going to be reconsidered. Currently there is a draft, and it was mentioned during this conference. This draft is in the parliament, National Russian Parliament, and the parliamentaries, they're going to consider these rules, and they're going to produce a final product, a draft of a final law, let's say so. As for the rates for the passage, this is set by the Federal Rates Service. So this is not done by Rosatomflot. This is done by the state. Since Rosatomflot is a state company, we act according to these rates. But at the very same time, these rates gives us these rules with the rates. They give us the opportunity to drop down the rate. Because they say that the rates set in this order are the maximum rates, maximum possible rates, and we cannot go beyond this rate, above this rate. But we can go below this rate. For example, if we sign a contract with our partner, and they guarantee that they will ship during the following season, which we sign a contract, they will ship a certain amount of cargo or even more. This is usually more than starting from 200,000 tons of actual cargo. Their prices, of course, will be much lower. When we talk about the return cargo or ballast cargo, this is a very important question because if you want to establish a cargo line between, for example, Murmansk or some European port with our Asian markets, like, for example, China and Japan or South Korea, we've got to understand that the vessel should be able to do as many navigations during this season, which is quite short, actually, as possible. And the owner of the vessel, the charterer, whoever is the paying party, they've got to be interested in the return voyage through NSA. That's why we've got to provide them interesting conditions and some, of course, discount on this. Meaning that should this vessel go in laden from, let's say, Murmansk to China, they get one price, and on the return voyage they get lower price. And this is not from cargo, but from the water displacement. We do not see Suez Canal and Panama Canal like our direct competitors. So this is not so, because those are established and prominent trade routes. We see Northern Sea route is a very good support for the international trade and a good alternative for some period in the year. Meaning that, of course, we cannot redirect the trade market to the north, because north implies some limitations upon the vessels and upon the you've got to have ice-breaking support, you've got to have special ice-class vessels, which you do not have to provide somewhere in the Suez Canal or in the Panama Canal. But should you have corresponding vessels, and with the corresponding ice-breaking support, you can save much time, fuel, and finally you save cost doing these transit voyages through NSA, because NSA, when we are talking about, for example, Chinese market, is twice shorter than going through from Europe to China via traditional routes, this Suez Canal, and if you are going around the Cape, this is even longer. Currently, the project of a new icebreaker, so-called icebreaker 60, or as we call in Russia, LK60, is being totally approved, and the money from the federal budget is allocated finally. That's why we expect the construction to start by the end of this year, meaning that we expect the final delivery of the vessel to us as the future operator of this vessel by 2018. We need this really by this date, because by 2018 we are going to start putting our present time icebreakers out of operation, because the resource is running out, and at one point we have to replace them. And in order to be, let's say, not to enforce a so-called ice pause in navigation, when navigation will not be supported by icebreakers, we've got to get this vessel by 2018. And this vessel is a very interesting one, because she will be having a shift in draft or double draft. She will be able to change draft from 8.1 meter to 11 meters, meaning that she will be able to navigate both open waters and shallow waters, and she will be able to replace both types of our icebreakers, both shallow water icebreakers and open water icebreakers. when we talk about the need for the future need for the icebreakers, I would say that the strategic plan is to construct 3 new type icebreakers compared to one which similar to one which I was talking right before. But at present we have 6 icebreakers. 5 of them are operational. One is in a layup, waiting for his turn to be put into operation. And we believe that when the new type of the icebreaker with the shift and draft and more powerful icebreaker and wider icebreaker will be introduced, 5 icebreakers will be quite enough, even for the growing tonnage on the NSR, because we consider to elaborate a plan of putting the icebreakers in the strategical points to provide cover in the most, let's say, most difficult areas.